constitutes odd behavior is anything out of the norms of the daily life of any given human being. I mean, you wouldn't fill your gas tank with water and expect it to run, something like that. But most people's idea of what's odd behavior, on the idea of someone acting like a schizophrenic, is not as extreme as what you see on TV, or can actually be that extreme, or can actually be worse. So conditions of abnormal behavior go back a long, long way. It's natural with some people based on some sort of reason, and it makes no sense. It could be a chemical defect in the person's brain or something like that. The brain is the most complex living thing we know of, the human brain. We just have nothing even closely that comes as complicated as the human brain. I mean, there's trillions of neurotransmitters in the typical human brain, or trillions. I mean, it's just so many connections. It's just amazing how powerful the human brain is. No other animal even comes close to the human brain. And don't talk to me about dolphins and chimpanzees, because they don't have things. They just lack so much things of their own behavior, even though sometimes they act very human-like. They maybe at a time they could have developed into another form of highly intelligent being, but by far humans are much, much, much more intelligent than all other forms of life on this planet. We love our dogs. We love the friendly pets, like the dogs and that kind of stuff. And the dolphins, very friendly. They're very friendly to humans, but they're not humans. That's just it. They can't rational. They can be trained. Certain things, go fetch and stuff like that, and they can learn hundreds of commands even so. But what the human brain is able to use is just goes so far beyond that. I mean, you just look at how intelligent some of these people are. It amazes me sometimes. I mean, what happened to me is very odd. It's just not that common, and I'm realizing that as I read. I'm now into probably over 100 articles I've read just in the past couple of months, because I've actually been reading more on it even before this episode, and I'm susceptible to this condition, because I've long established that, I'm a sleepwalker. I'm a current sleepwalker, walker, excuse me, and that's different. Most sleepwalking, if someone's going to sleepwalk, that usually happens as a child. And because somewhere between 5 to 10% of children will sleepwalk. They will literally do something in sleep and look like they're awake. But when they are actually awake, they will have no recollection of ever doing any of it. All right. Well, I've continued that on as an adult, and it's kind of scary in some ways. But I've never gotten in a car and driven anywhere. No, you stay in the house. It's not like people think that you're gonna just walk the streets like a zombie. It doesn't do that. Well, it didn't do it with me anyhow. But it's common with children. The best thing with children is to make sure they don't get out of the house. Because of course what could happen is they could get killed or kidnapped or whatever. But so parents often ask that question. Now the other thing is the night terror. That's also kind of connected. That's another thing that's unusual for people to have. Not many people experience them. If you would ask someone if they ever had a night terror, they would say, "Yeah, I've had numerous nightmares." Well, no, there's a big difference. And the difference is huge, because nightmares are actually just dreams that are scary. Night terrors happen in a different part of sleep called delta or something like that. It's alpha, beta, delta, something like that. And it's the deepest state of sleep, and that's within the first couple of hours. You may go into a deep sleep, and then second time you may go into deeper sleep. I mean, by the time you're in your deepest sleep, you're actually about halfway to death. So that's how far down you go. So you get a night terror usually around that bottom of your sleep, your lowest level of consciousness during a 24-hour period, and all of a sudden, boom, you're out of it. And you remember the dream in some sort of detail, and you're scared, you're frightened. You're literally frightened to death. And to wake up alone is scary too. It makes it even worse. And the first time I had it when I was younger, 18, I was alone, and this time I was alone too because Karen was in Florida. So yeah, it's kind of scary, and that's enough. And that was probably during the early stages of my psychosis, temporary insanity, during the early stages. But I'm trying to rationalize this whole thing in my head, and it's just really hard to fathom where this thing is because ever since that morning of Saturday morning, the 13th, I'm totally rational. I mean, I'm just completely rational. Whether it's my rationality, but I can add numbers correctly. I know that everything's I know that ice freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, all that stuff, everything that makes sense. I know I don't have any. I know I can't bend a spoon with my mind. So that kind of stuff. So I just woke up all of a sudden completely healed of my irrational behavior, or you could call it temporary insanity or temporary psychosis. It's the same thing. Psychosis and insanity is the same thing. Now, there's a state called schizophrenia, which is an extreme state of psychosis. It's a dangerous one, and that's where people can act out in totally irrational behavior and do harm to themselves or others. Obviously, well, a suicide may just be caused by depression, but it's also can be caused by schizophrenia because they're more susceptible to that. Who the hell knows what happened to Robin Williams? I mean, some say he had a medical condition that he would slowly lose his mind, but I don't know what it was. I didn't hear Alzheimer's, so I'm not sure. But I don't know. But like I said, well, that's different. But in psychotic behavior is just odd. It's very strange, and a lot of times it happens with some very intelligent people. A lot of serial killers are actually usually higher minded. They're higher intellect. Ted Bundy was one, and the Unabomber Ted Kaczynski. He's highly intelligent. He's still alive. He's in the maximum security prison in Florence, Colorado. And he's quite a case. I mean, he is quite a case. Charles Manson, I don't know. I think I remember something about him being highly intelligent, but I haven't read anything recently. He was just a jerk, as far as I'm concerned. He just tried to cause race riots. But yeah, there's cases where people that are psychotic is because that their brain is trying to figure out too much because they can process things faster than the average person, and then they skip ahead, and they skip ahead beyond the reality, and then go into a new valley of irrationality. Well, yeah, that was kind of like what I was believing. I was believing that I could actually skip over a stage of reality and get to the next reality. In other words, pass through the door of getting to where I'm excuse me, E equals MC squared works, right, in this reality. But in the next reality, the formula is a little bit different. Now, once you change E equals MC squared into like J equals 2 times 4 to the 5th power, whatever, well, everything else changes. Blue becomes red or something like that, and then, different things happen, different properties happen, concrete is flammable and that, or whatever, you know what I'm saying. But if you can change that, that's what I believed I was in, that I was able to change. I could change things chemically because I could apply a different set of physics rules to them, and that's what I was actually trying to be as realistic as I could be, and explaining that I could take what was in a remote control, all the capabilities, all the buttons, and put that into a cigarette lighter. I absolutely believed I could. I kept showing Karen, here, look, I think I got it, and the TV was on. Look, I'll shut it off with just the lighter. I thought about playing a trick at her, having the remote control behind my back, but she'd catch me in that anyhow. But anyhow, but the weird thing is I truly believe that I could do it. I just said, it's going to take me a while. This is, something new to me. I'm just going to have to practice, like learning how to play the drums, So, but I truly believe that, but now, no, I don't believe it anymore. Of course not. But, I don't know. It's just like some of my thoughts and some of my ideas on, what truly happened to me. And what truly happened to me is exactly what other people have said. But, maybe I can get someone else to talk with me on it, and explain it to them. Maybe you can hear the conversation or something. But most people that actually saw me go through it, like my own family, don't want to talk about it. And so I can't get any information from them, anything. The most information I've gotten is from Karen. But as far as my kids, they're dead silent on it, and I don't want to push them because I don't want to do any more harm. And, I didn't cause the harm to them. I want them to realize that it was not against them, and I'm not crazy. I'm a perfectly rational person. But I was a person that went through just some extreme pain, and I didn't get help like I should have, and I was treated badly, and I just couldn't handle it, and I literally, I cracked. My brain just cracked like an egg open, and I just went nuts.
That's exactly what happened. I went nuts. And somehow during that sleep period that I went through, I just got enough rest. And when I woke up, I woke up in Beverly Hospital that Saturday morning, and I just saw happy-go-lucky people around me, and they were treating me so nicely. I said, "This must be a safe place to be right now," and everything was fine. Since everything was fine then. I still had to get the back fixed, but I was just comfortable. And when I'm comfortable, I'm sane. Hey, you have a good day. Good night.